Welcome to Inside Athletics. I'm your host, Hannah Robert. Today we have with us Brandon Thomas from the Saints to talk about all things football.
How you doing, Hannah?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great.
So the Saints suffered a little loss this week on
Yeah.
Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, it was a tough loss Thursday. We still got Andy Dalton at quarterback, and just trying to progress throughout the season. I hope they could really turn around coming to this next home game. They got a little home stand between the Raiders this upcoming Sunday, and then the Monday after that they have the Ravens. So hopefully we can get things going in the running game. We could continue to see the progression of Rashid Shaheed and other wide receivers like that. And
Right. So talking about QBs, who do you think is going to be the starting quarterback come Sunday night?
I think Andy Dalton is still going to be the starter. I don't see any glaring reason why he shouldn't, even though on paper he threw 3 interceptions last week. One of them was a tipped ball, one of them
Right.
was in the red zone. You don't want that, but, it's still mistakes like that. James is still coming off an injury, and, we'll see how he progresses throughout the week, and we'll see how, he ends up on Sunday if he's activated. Because he's been activated for the last 2 games, but in a strictly reserve capacity. So will be interesting to see if he gets some playing time, if he's fully healthy and ready for that.
Yeah. So talking about other injured players, Michael Thomas, he's still on injury. Is he looking like he could be coming back soon?
I mean, Mike is Mike. He has his own process that he likes to go through. He's dealing with a toe, and I think he should be back pretty soon. I can't really speak too much on a timetable because I don't think really anybody knows the timetable. But he's no stranger to injury, so he knows how to work through that.
Yeah. So in Michael Thomas's place, we have a little rookie star, Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Talk about his development from training camp to now.
Oh, Olave is a beast. He was a beast at Ohio State. He's been that guy. He's grown and developed into, a star. He was Rookie of the Month in September, coming in, and that's with 2 different quarterbacks, through that system. And he had a concussion 2 weeks ago, but he's bounced back from that. You saw that last Thursday that he was, getting open and catching some passes. So I think no matter, what outside situations are occurring outside of his position of wide receiver, that he's going to be successful.
Right. So another surprise talent at wide receiver, Rashid Shaheed. Out of nowhere, he was hurt training camp, and then he comes in, catches 2 touchdown passes.
Yeah, he had an injury in college, and he was rehabbing that throughout, I guess, the offseason. And, the first day he was out there, he was quick, he was fast, and you saw it against the Bengals. They went with a fly on a 9 route, and, they didn't connect, but he had the speed, and he was down there. And then last week on the Thursday night game, Shucks, they went back to that same play, and they hit a home run off of it. So he's really a flyer. He's really a fast guy.
Right. So talking about, NFL overall, who do you think is going to be the Rookie of the Year this year? Because Breece Hall just got torn his ACL.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting guys out there. Like you mentioned Breece Hall for the Jets. He was doing real good, but, with his injury, don't know how he's going to be able to come back from that. But even on the same team, you got Sauce Gardner. He's doing great. He's locked up the game yesterday. He kind of solidified that. Albeit he was against a backup quarterback, but he still did a great job. I think you shouldn't overlook Chris Olave and his progression. We just talked about him, despite having to play 2 different quarterbacks, he's still, very productive, and he's, making a way kind of where there isn't really a way. It's on paper. If he struggles, it's okay, this guy, he's a rookie. He doesn't have a real rapport with a quarterback. But it seems like, shucks, you could put a jug machine out there on some wheels, and he'll still, handle his business and stuff like that. But I think it's fair to say that Chris Olave is in consideration. But you have other guys who, tried to step up across the board, whether it was on the offensive line, whether it's, other wide receivers standing out. But I think right now, I'll have to say Chris Olave.
Do you think his projections are limited with the quarterback situation right now?
Not really. I think he's still getting open, and he's still a threat vertically. You saw James trying to force that early on in the season, a vertical threat, and then in the red zone, you saw actually when he got that concussion, it was on the touchdown. So it wasn't, it wasn't a wasted play per se. He scored on the touchdown, and he's physical. For as small of a guy he is, he's not afraid to get up and get the ball, or he's not afraid to, kind of trying to make a move or two, just trying to make people miss. You know how sometimes people have like a rookie gap where you have to kind of like learn how to play up to the style of the NFL. And he comes from Ohio State. He was developed there. Is the Rose Bowl game? I tell you all you need to know about him. So yeah, he's made a lot of progression.
Yeah. So talking about NFL overall, I know it's early still,
Yeah.
but who do you think would end up in the Super Bowl? What's your pick?
I think, even though the Buffalo Bills have made a lot of offseason moves, like acquiring Von Miller and things like that, and have gone head to head and beat Kansas City in the regular season, I think that the Chiefs, are built for December, January, and February, early February. I think at the AFC, I have to choose the Chiefs just because they've been there before. And even though they don't have Tyreek Hill, I mean, that's just one cog in a big system. You have the main gear in the Andy Reid as the coach. You have Patrick Mahomes as the quarterback still. And you still have Travis Kelce. And Mecole Hardman, you saw yesterday against the 49ers, they're still eating even in different aspects. I think at the NFC, it's kind of harder to say because nobody is definitely sticking out as, oh, this person is dominant enough to, kind of carry the team to the Super Bowl. The Rams, the past champions from last year, struggling a little bit, not really working out how they expected it at this point in the season. I mean, the Saints, the division is still open in the NFC South. The Buccaneers are having some problems. The Carolina Panthers look like they might be cleaning house. The Falcons, you always have in the back of their mind they're going to blow a lead even if they do have a lead. So if I had to choose one team, I know the fancy answer to say right now is the Eagles, and the Eagles are a great football team. They play sound football across the board, but I don't know if they've had a real challenge per se this early section of the season. So if they stay healthy and they work together, I actually think the 49ers can come out of the NFC. I think that'll be an interesting team to watch.
I was about to ask you about it because the big news of the week is Christian McCaffrey to the 49ers. Now, does that change, their offense? Because he started out, day one playing on Sunday and making an impact.
Yeah, if you go out and trade for him, I feel like you have to run him. I feel like you have to see what he can do, just in an early period. I mean, he's a running back. I know it seems simple enough to just say run, but, with different schemes and packages and stuff like that, you have to know where to block, who to block. You have to build a rapport with the quarterback on the handoff to make sure, okay, this is how the handoff goes. If your lineman, what side is stronger, what side is weaker. San Francisco had Trent Williams, incredible offensive tackle, but you have to make sure, if he plays, what's your timing with that? How long does he hold blocks? Does he hold it for 4 seconds? Does he hold it for 7 seconds? How can you hit those certain holes? And, yesterday he had a pretty good showing, even though they didn't end up winning. That first drive, they're trying to feed him a little bit and get some movement with him. But, I mean, overall, he's going to fit into his own. San Francisco is stacked at the running back position. They have a deep enough backfield where you don't have to run him every single play.
He's not the workhorse anymore.
He doesn't have to be. And that was the main problem in Carolina. He was a workhorse. Then, his tires would blow out. So, to make a light of it, his tires would blow out. That's why he was a tradable asset. Running backs, they have a short shelf life in the league as a whole. And I think McCaffrey, has gotten some new juice and some new energy because of family connections over there. And I think that, he'll be pretty good.
So you think it'll be a rematch in the Super Bowl between the Chiefs and 49ers?
Right now, I have to say, yeah, that could change.
You think it's going to go the same way this game went this weekend?
Definitely. I don't see Jimmy G. Jimmy G's ceiling. He's a facilitator. I don't see him remotely being close to outplay Patrick Mahomes.
So it'd be a defensive game if they do win.
Have to be. They have an incredible defense, but it would have to be.
That's fair.
Have to be.
So going a little bit on the college level, LSU this weekend blew out Ole Miss. Well, it wasn't quite a blowout, but they still got that win, and now they're ranked 18th overall. What do you think of their team?
Man, LSU has been like the definition of, growth. If you saw in their first game, against Florida State in the Dome, everybody was like, oh, this is our time. They were down, then they came back. And you have people like Neighbors and stuff slipping and messing up early. And you're thinking, oh, man, this season is just a wash just like last year. But as they started developing and they started getting those statement games, they started, and granted they were playing people like Southern and New Mexico State and beating up on them, those smaller level schools, but when they got their first big challenge against Tennessee when they were ranked, I think 24th or 25. They got punched in the mouth. It's just I don't know what to say. They got punched in the mouth. And then the next week after that, Tennessee went on to beat Alabama. So they're on a whole different mission. But LSU and Brian Kelly's system has grown so much from where they started out. And, you know, you would think losing somebody like Mason Smith early on, a Bayou native, you know, you would think losing him in the first game for the whole season is like, you know, you have excuses on the defensive line. But that's the reason why you recruit people. You have a deep enough stable to be able to roll people out there and make moves happen. And with that win against Ole Miss, now granted, Ole Miss had a weak schedule coming into this game, but they were still undefeated nevertheless. And LSU, I mean, shucks, you would say, oh, they're nobody, y'all could just run through them. They would be perceived as weak, but it actually came out. You know, they were down, 14-3 at one point, and then Neighbors and Malik Neighbors and Smith's connection just started hitting, and, you know, he took over the game just like in that Florida game. And I think this week off, if they don't let their heads get too hot off of being number 18, which I don't think they will because they've been ranked and then got knocked down, I think if they have a chance to really sit down and process what's going on and, you know, watch the film and get physically and mentally tougher and be able to heal up a little bit. You know, it's a grueling season. People will say, oh, you know, they go out there play, you know, any battle that you live to fight another day, but that's taxing. Every play is like a high-impact car crash. So being able to rest up and get their body right, you know, you had a freshman offensive lineman go down being dehydrated. So being able to get your system in place of nutrition, rest, and everything like that, I think that'll bode well for them against Alabama. Now, I can't promise a win because that's a juggernaut in Alabama. You already know, but they bled this season. They bled 2 weeks ago against Tennessee. So you might see the goalpost end up in the river. You never know.
So you think they could beat Alabama? Cause
I think Alabama is not playing Alabama brand football. You know, they beat up against Mississippi State. So did LSU. So that's not really a statement game to say, oh, we're back. You know,
right.
Alabama is playing real undisciplined. Alabama really, you know, if things go differently, could have been going into Tennessee having 2 losses on their schedule already. Because against Texas, they were struggling. And, you know, Quinn Ewers went out, and then they ended up winning. The starting quarterback went out, and they ended up winning that game against Texas A&M. You know, I don't know if it's just something when they cross that line and they get into Texas where they struggle, but, you know, that's just what it is. Against A&M, the game came down to the wire. You would think, oh, it's Alabama. They're just going to come in and punch you in the mouth and, you know, let it be that. The only games they usually struggle in is against LSU or in the Iron Bowl against against Auburn, or, you know, sometimes even against Mississippi State. But I can't speak for Saban. I don't even know Saban. I've met him, but I don't know Saban like that. But, you know, as a college football fan for years, you would think, okay, Alabama is just playing for that latter half. When they ended up playing in the conference and, you know, they get those bowl games and stuff like that. And then when you get to the SEC championship in Georgia, that's what they're playing for. Then when they get into wherever the final game ends up being, that's what they end up playing for. So I think Alabama is mortal. They're still not, like, gettable, like you can get an easy win off them. You have to play the best game you ever played. You saw after the game Tennessee was smoking cigars. Like, usually you reserve that for, like, a championship. And to them, I mean, I don't know.
Goalpost in the river it was.
I don't want to say they smoked them too early, but, you know, being able to do that and really hit Alabama hard like that, I think that put them on notice. I don't know where they're currently ranked right now. They might be, like, still in the top 10. I mean, they should
Alabama's
be
ranked 6th right now.
6th right now. So, yeah, I think off the strength of just their name, they're still, you know, Goliath. But there's a lot of Davis lining up at the gate.
Yeah, good point. I think the difference between LSU and Alabama is Alabama may not be playing Alabama football, but Alabama football is ranked number 1, punching everybody in the mouth, like you said.
Right.
When they're not that, they're still 6th ranked, doing good. LSU,
Right.
when they're LSU football that we know, it's like win-loss, you don't really know. 2019 was like a fluke.
That greatest
It was
year
a
of college
fluke
football,
year.
hands down. But
It
yes.
was, but
Yes.
but you don't see that every year with LSU like you
No.
do with Alabama.
No.
So my prediction is that Alabama will probably win. I mean, a
Yeah.
Heisman Trophy winner.
Yeah. There's
think-
no reason to go against that. But, yeah, that's a valid point. All of those are valid points that you made. There's no reason to go against the Alabama win. And they probably will win. But for the sake of me going up there, I'm not trying to leave in the third quarter because they're getting blown out. I just got to be honest. I got to put all my cards out there. I'm not trying to leave in the third quarter because they're getting blown out like they were against Tennessee. And I don't think they will. I don't think they will get. If Texas A&M can have a fighting chance, I think LSU is going to be able to. If Brian Kelly doesn't have to tell them how important this game is. If you
Everybody
have to,
from LSU knows.
that's what I'm saying. If you have to tell them how important this game is, you might as well just leave them in the locker room because they can't help you on the field. If you're not going into that week, if you're not going into this week knowing got Alabama, not letting it, invade your mind and being everything you think about,
Yeah, but you got to be focused.
process. But if you let that dominate like your train of thought, you're mentally beat before you even walk on the field. So go out there, execute, play football. Don't need to be a hero. You don't need to be a hero. You just need to play sound football because Alabama is playing really undisciplined football.
Yeah,
And that's
make a few plays and you might win the game.
Right, and that's unheard of for Alabama to play undisciplined football. And you getting flags left and right for crazy stuff, with them. So you see blood.
I think it'll be a real test.
There's a Band-Aid on them after beating Mississippi State, but you're still wounded from that game against Tennessee.
Yep. Because, you look at LSU when they played against Tennessee, a top 10, right now ranked number 3 football team, and it just felt like LSU was playing against the elite SEC,
right.
And they can't handle it. They're not on that level yet.
Right.
It's like the rookie against NFL teams.
Right.
But someone a little lower like Ole Miss, it looked not easy, but it looked like they were natural at it.
Right.
So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, you just want to see. I'm very excited for that game. That's like
it's a holiday.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a highlight.
So coming a little closer to home, talk about Nicholls football. They just beat McNeese.
Yeah, they got a good one against McNeese. McNeese is usually a team that comes down here and we usually do a little back and forth. I want to say we lost to them last year. Last year was just such a weird year because you had to play people twice. But, being able to solidify that win, we haven't had a win at home yet. And being able to win a home game is always good. It's always good to win a home game. It's always good to be 1-0. Every week you go into a week trying to be 1-0. But I think they fought and they continue to fight. And I think they have a good chance next week against Lamar.
I think they do too. Lamar hasn't won a game yet this season.
Right.
Nichols only won, 2 games, but
right. They're
still,
2 conference games,
yeah,
which is important. Because
exactly.
the first set of people you played was just FBS teams where, you went on that circle. And you would want to win, but you went on that circuit knowing, just seeing how your guys fight, how your team, is built structurally. And, it was kind of an anomaly last week that you play your old starting quarterback in Lindsey Scott, who's, I know we're talking about Nichols, but he's a beast, So
I think his passer rating was in the 200s recently.
Right. So you chalk that up to just, hey, you got to take one on the chin sometimes. But that win against Northwest, that conference win, and then you're 2-1 in conference play. No, you might be 2-2 in conference play. So I think with that going into this game is going to vote a lot of confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for coming on. Nice having you.
No problem, man. No problem.
Here's to a good week of football.
Here's to a good week of football.
Thank you for watching Inside Athletics. I'm Hannah Roberts.